Hey everyone, I'm Harlan Snyder, the Good Values Guy. I hope you've been enjoying this week's exploration into the value of adventure. If so, give me a thumbs up and leave a comment. Let me know how you've incorporated adventure more into your life this week. I'm wondering, have you ever been invited somewhere with friends or family, but you just didn't think that it was going to be all that fun, so you decided to take a pass? And then afterwards, you found out that everyone had a blast, and they started to criticize you, rub it in, and call you a party pooper. Well, even though you might not have admitted it out loud, there may have been some parts of you that really regretted saying no. Now, last week, I was abruptly awakened from my sleep at exactly 3 a.m. I'd been dreaming, and as clear as light, someone started telling me I was set in my ways and out of touch. Boy, did it trigger me. I woke up with a start, angry for the unsolicited criticism. I don't consider myself a set in my ways kind of a person. Yet, because the voice was so clear and I got so triggered by it, I thought maybe this was worth some more consideration. Now later, as I was working on creating content for this week's Adventure Value, I realized that maybe this message really was for me. You see, I'm an introvert. I get along well in public, socializing and working with others, but I find I much prefer the peace and environment that I've created in my little minimalist space I call home. Sometimes too comfortable. I'll pass by opportunities to go out and explore, enjoy social encounters, and do new things with that simple excuse that we all know too well. I'm just too busy this weekend. Maybe I'll get some extra work done and I'll get something planned and get away next weekend. So this week, I've challenged myself to get out of my comfort zone, take some risks, and welcome more adventure into my life. I hope you'll join me in this challenge. It's always a great idea to keep our minds and hearts open to what else might be possible. Today, I want to share a goofy story I recently heard about the importance of being open-minded and adventurous. The story itself is almost laughable, but there are some deep spiritual metaphors at play that maybe speak to the heart of this powerful value. So it goes like this. If you're familiar with blue herons, it comes as no surprise that herons love to explore. Of course, they always have their favorite spots. They're migratory, so they return every spring to their ancestral family trees for a big reunion. But even when being social, these birds love to fly off and explore both new and familiar hunting grounds. This held true for Dot and Darren. This blue heron couple liked to explore new ponds and places. They recently heard about how abundantly cattail plants were growing in Mellow Marsh, and since they had never been there before, they wanted to check it out. Now, Dot and Darren decided to invite a couple of friends they had made a few years ago. Their names were Molly and Melvin, and they were both marsh wrens. Now, Molly and Melvin lived in Paradise Pond. It was a beautiful gated community with great amenities and very established families. Melvin had grown up and lived there his whole life. He was comfortable, secure, and he had really built a large nest egg for he and his family. Now, Molly enjoyed all that Paradise Ponds had to offer, but she longed for some adventure. When Dot and Darren invited them to explore Mellow Marsh, Molly squawked, "I'd love to go. I especially love when cattails are in bloom. That sounds delightful." Melvin looked suspiciously at his friends. "It's great right here at Paradise Pond. Why go all the way over to the marsh? We've got plenty of mosquitoes to eat in our own backyard." "Come on, Melvin. You're such a stick in the mud. It'll be fun, and I want to enjoy the weather and chat along the way. I'm sure we'll find something to eat at the marsh," exclaimed Molly. "I agree," Darren replied. Who knows? Who knows what we might find? Life's an adventure." Molly encouraged, "Come on, Melvin. It'll be fantastic." But Melvin wanted nothing of it. No thanks. I'm staying here where the water's nice, and the lunch is nearby. I like things just the way they are. I grew up in Paradise Ponds and I see no need to be anywhere else. So Dot, Darren, and Molly headed for Mellow Marsh without Melvin. Upon arrival, they couldn't believe their eyes. The mosquitoes swarmed everywhere, and marsh grasses were clumped perfectly for perching. They stuffed themselves, and then they perched to watch the world go by. They made several new friends, too. It was such an amazing and refreshing adventure for each of them. When they got home, Melvin asked, "What took you guys so long? You guys were gone all day." "Oh, Melvin, Mellow Marsh was wonderful," Molly gasped. "We ate, we explored the area, we watched the marsh activity, and then we ate again. My God, there's millions of tender mosquitoes surrounding us. And we made some really cool new friends, too. I can't wait to go back and visit soon." Well, Melvin sighed. And the truth be told, I only caught 3 mosquitoes today the whole time. And I was pretty bored, actually. Since we become empty nesters, it's not as fun when I'm not with my friends. And the other birds in Paradise Pond act so entitled and selfish anymore. It's not the same as it used to be. "Is it okay if I go on the next adventure?" Melvin asked as his stomach growled. Now, Dot, Darren, and Molly all welcomed Melvin and shared more about their next adventures together. So that's it. Now, Melvin was a marsh wren, and he wasn't open to new places and things. He wasn't interested in visiting Mellow Marsh, but his friends Dot and Darren, the blue herons, loved to explore. Melvin's wife, Molly, the marsh wren, was excited to experience an adventure to Mellow Marsh. Now, Dot, Darren, and Molly delighted in the unknown possibilities of a trip to the marsh. They were open-minded and looked forward excitedly to the prospects that the marsh might offer. And as expected, they found an adventure that lived up to those possibilities. And even when his friends encouraged him, Melvin refused to accompany them. Melvin believed that what he had at home was better than what he could find at Mellow Marsh. He thought it was a hassle to travel to the marsh. Melvin's mind was closed to new adventures. Melvin was quite disappointed when he heard Molly's stories of plentiful food at the marsh. He saw their full bellies and heard interesting tales about their adventure, and he knew he had missed out. Now, maybe you're like Melvin and you aren't comfortable with new situations. You may typically choose not to venture out of your comfort zone. However, such a closed mind drastically limits your possibilities. But perhaps you're more like Molly and easily embrace the opportunities in life that come along. You have an open mind, and because you're willing to try new things, you find that your life is thriving. But as simple and silly as the story is, there's some important spiritual metaphors at play. Did you catch any of them? Here's a few to get you primed. Well, like Dot and Darren and Molly, who gorged on mosquitoes, when we embrace adventure with an open mind, it feeds and nourishes our soul. And like Dot and Darren and Molly, as they perched and enjoyed the experience at Mellow Marsh, adventure brings abundance and gratitude into our lives. It's also important to be in the present and aware of the moments to experience happiness, because happiness only happens when we're living in the now. And like Melvin, when we deny ourselves the opportunity to explore, we get too set in our ways. We exist on autopilot and we burn out, which makes us grumpy and no fun. So there's lots of other metaphors that you can explore in this little fable. I'm wondering, what others can you find? Now, when your mind is open to novel experiences, you're more likely to enjoy a thriving, fascinating life full of adventure. So here's a few questions that you can consider as you ponder this foul adventure. Do you have an open mind? How do you feel when new opportunities come along? And what more can you do to take full advantage of all that life has to offer? Spend a few moments, jot down, journal, and think about and ponder these important questions. And think about how you can continue to add more adventure and really live into the value of adventure more in the weeks to come. That's it. Thanks. And I look forward to bringing you a new value in just another 2 days. Take care.